Siegmund Glücksmann. Siegmund Glücksmann, born May 30, 1884, Radocza, d. October 6, 1942, Bukhara, was a German Jewish socialist politician. In the 1920s and 1930s, he was one of the most prominent figures of the German minority socialist movement in Poland. Biography. Student life and entry into political activism. Glücksmann studied secondary school in Wadowitz, where he joined a socialist students' organization. In 1905, he shifted to Krakow to study law at the Jagiellonian University. He worked with socialist publications, and in 1910, he became a member of the Jewish Social Democratic Party ZPSD. In 1911, the Jewish Social Democracy in Galicia, the Jewish affiliate section of the Polish Social Democratic Party of Galicia, merged into the ZPSD. Glücksmann became a member of the executive of the unified ZPSD. War and post-war. In 1913, Glücksmann began postgraduate studies in law. Glücksmann's university studies were, however, interrupted by the outbreak of the First World War. Glücksmann became an officer, commanding over a company of carabiners. Glücksmann was wounded in the war and settled down in Bielsko-Bialic. In Bielsko, he opened an attorney's office of his own. In Bielsko, he became associated with the German intellectuals of the town. He was elected to the town council. In 1920, he was active in the Social Democratic electoral bloc Forward. He was a leading figure of the Austrian Social Democratic Party in Bielsko and worked with its press organ Volksstimme. In 1922, he managed to merge the Bielitz branch of the Austrian Social Democratic Party with the German Social Democratic Party organizations in Upper Silesia, forming the German Social Democratic Party DSDP. The DSDP sought to organize German socialists throughout the Polish Republic. The DSDP later evolved, through a series of mergers, into the German Socialist Labour Party in Poland DSAP. Role as party ideologue. After Joseph Pilsudski, a former socialist who would become a Marshal of Poland, coming to power during the May coup in 1926, Glücksmann argued for opposition against the new regime and claimed that Pilsudski had abandoned socialism. The first joint protests by DSAP and the Polish Socialist Party PPS were organized on Glücksmann's initiative. In the 1930s, he argued in favor of cooperation with the Communist Party of Poland, and in 1934 he urged the DSAP to struggle jointly with the Communists against fascism. Rise of fascism. Glücksmann welcomed the Popular Front line adopted by the 7th Congress of the Communist International in 1935. In Bielsko, local National Socialists began a campaign of harassment against Glücksmann. A result, Glücksmann resigned from his position as the chairman of the DSAP organization in the Bielsko subdistrict. The attacks against the party did, however, not decline. Exile and death. In September 1939, Glücksmann and his family fled to Volhynia and from there to Lwow Lemberg or Lviv. In Lwow, he began working as an arithmetics teacher. In the fall of 1940, once the area was taken over by the Soviets following the Soviet invasion of Poland, he was deported to Yoshkar Ola, where he worked as a woodcutter. After the Sikorsky-Maysky agreement between the Polish government in exile and the Soviets, Glücksmann was free to leave Yoshkar Ola, and in the fall of 1941 he moved to Bukhara. He died in typhoid at a Bukhara hospital on October 6, 1942. His wife and children later returned to Poland and would eventually migrate to Sweden. References